This is the Kazdoy Closet. I'm Kazdoy. That's my closet, full of all the stuff that I love. And today, take one vengeful horror film makeup artist, add in two wannabe teenage film idols, and voila! Now you know how to make a monster. Let's check it out. Today's film is indeed called How to Make a Monster. This is from 1958. 73 minutes long in beautiful black and white with a little color. More about that later. This was produced by a gentleman named Herman Cohen. He had some really good success with two films the year before this. I Was a Teenage Werewolf, starring Michael Landon, and I Was a Teenage Frankenstein. So he decided to stick with that genre, and then juvenile delinquent films were starting to get very popular, films like The Blackboard Jungle. So he decided to kind of mash up the two genres, and now we have How to Make a Monster. So this is about a studio who wants to stop making monster movies. People don't want to see them anymore. They've moved on from that genre. So, but one veteran horror makeup artist, he gets fired, and he is not happy about them not wanting to make monster movies anymore. So he decides he's going to get revenge on the studio executives who are taking over the studio and anybody else who gets in his way. So he takes the two stars of the Teenage Werewolf and Teenage Frankenstein films, and he develops this special makeup which allows this makeup artist to hypnotize them and control their actions. So what we have is a scene, for example, with the new studio executive pulling his gigantic Lincoln Continental from 1958 into his garage, parks the car, and out comes the actor with his full Wolfman mask on. He's just wearing regular street clothes, but he's got the Wolfman mask, and he's being hypnotized by that special makeup, and he kills the studio executive. Then we have another scene where the other actor who played the Teenage Frankenstein, he's got the Frankenstein monster mask on, and he's just wearing a turtleneck and regular street clothes, and he kills the other studio executive. So I always like when they have monsters that are just wearing regular clothes, but from the neck up, they're monsters. It's kind of a meta type movie, I like to say, for a couple reasons. First of all, there's one scene where our makeup artist character is standing in front of a wall, and on the wall are the actual two posters from the I Was a Teenage Werewolf and I Was a Teenage Frankenstein films, and he's talking about the importance of monster movies and stuff like that. Another meta part was the star of I Was a Teenage Frankenstein is also in this film playing the Teenage Frankenstein, and the character who's the teenage werewolf in this film is named Larry, and as we all know, the Wolfman's real name is Larry Talbot. The crew and cast of this film, mostly their credits are going to be familiar to classic TV shows. I wasn't familiar with any of these guys really except one. I think the main character of the makeup artist, I kept thinking it was patterned after the legendary Jack Pierce. He's the makeup artist who created the original Frankenstein and Wolfman makeup, and is supposed to have a reputation for being very meticulous and very dedicated to his craft, and also probably inspired every horror film makeup artist since then. The performance of the actor playing this makeup artist, I was okay with. I thought he was kind of bland, really, and he has about 2 or 3 scenes where he's pontificating at length about the importance of monsters to get the audience's aggression out, and how monsters appear in nature, and all the speechifying he's going through gets kind of silly after a while. The only actor I really recognized was Gary Conway. He plays the Teenage Frankenstein character, and I recognized him probably from TV, but I think I also remembered him from the old 1968 series Land of the Giants. Now, because this is a low-budget kind of teen exploitation film, there is that required terrible rock and roll number, and it's in this one. It's also another kind of meta moment where we have a director and the crew, and they're filming a scene for one of their next big studio films, And here's a guy on stage who looks like he's trying to be Elvis Presley, and he's singing a song called You Gotta Have EO, kind of a rock and roll song. I don't even understand what EO means. Nothing in the song says what it means. Maybe they thought this was going to be a hit, but it's terrible. And there's a bunch of dancing girls behind him only singing. And then at the end, the director says, cut, print. And then the new studio executive who wants to get rid of the monster movie says to the makeup artist, see, that's what the audience wants. They want musical numbers. They want beautiful girls. They don't want monsters anymore. Now the ending, and this is a little bit of a spoiler alert, the last 5 or 10 minutes of this film shift from black and white to color. Now we've seen that in a couple of other films from this time period and this genre. War of the Colossal Beast I talked about once before, and The Tingler, which I talked about before, had a couple of color sequences also, but those were in the middle of the film. But this one happens at the end. There's a big fire at the end at the makeup artist's house, and you see all his masks that he worked on for the various films melting. And that's kind of also a House of Wax ripoff too, I thought. So the bottom line is, this is a clever idea. It's a pretty simple plot, really. It's competently made. And it's a low-budget B movie made by American International, a studio that just churned these things out. I don't even think they were a studio, actually. And really, for monster movie fans, I think that's the crowd this is really going to mainly appeal to. And I was thinking it's kind of funny, too. It's a monster film about a studio executive who says we shouldn't have any monster films. So it's kind of an in-jokey type thing too, but I really had a good time with it. I'm going to give this 3 monsters. They're actually zombies, but I'm going to say 3 monsters out of 5. Now, what's on this disc? Well, this is a Shout Factory / Scream Factory disc. Looks fine, sounds fine. The cover's a bit of a cheat. We don't really see this knife in the eyeball, fortunately. And we don't see this scantily clad young lady lying down here, unfortunately. But otherwise, we have a few extras. We have a 15-minute little documentary about Herman Cohen, the producer. That was well done with some experts talking about his career. And then we have a Q&A from it looks like a monster convention of some sort from 2017. And that's with the 2 teen actors. They're a lot older now, but the guys who played the teenage Frankenstein and the teenage werewolf, they're being interviewed on stage. I lasted about 5-10 minutes. The audio is really bad on this. It's like somebody in the audience must have recorded this or something. And I got the impression too that this was done quickly, and so these guys now in their later years probably don't remember too much about the production, but there it is. Where can you see How to Make a Monster? I don't see it streaming anywhere. You can try renting it from your library. You can also rent it on Amazon. So that's it. How to Make a Monster. Hope you like this one. Feel free to leave a comment or suggestion down here. Leave a thumbs up. Don't leave a thumbs down. Subscribe would be great. 10 more. And we get to 250 subscribers. And hopefully I'll do something special for that. Share this with your friends and neighbors. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.